a pleasant day. Here I am again, your English teacher. And in this particular recorded video, I will be explaining to you module number 5 for quarter number 4, okay? So the title of this module is Discovering the Conflict Presented in Literary Selections and Need to Resolve Those Conflicts in Non-Violent Ways. So this particular lesson is very much useful in our everyday life because of course every one of us is encountering a conflict problem, and we need to learn how to solve that conflict or problem in a non-violent way. Okay, so let us now go directly to what is it part on page 5 of your module. So the title again is found here, Discovering the Conflict Presented in Literary Selections and Need to Resolve Those Conflicts in Non-Violent Ways. So in this part of the module, we will be discussing the elements of a short story. So when we say short story, students, it is a story with a fully developed theme. But of course, it is shorter and less elaborate than a novel. Okay? So that's the reason why it is called short. Short story in Tagalog, it means maikling kwento. So we have here elements of a short story. The first one is character. So when we say character, so that is tauhan in Filipino. So in English, a character is a person or sometimes even an animal who takes part in the action of a story or other literary work. So it can be a person or animal. For example, the story is the characters are animal, just like the monkey and the turtle, so they are the characters, okay? But mostly in a short story, the characters are person. And we have here the so-called protagonist and antagonist. So when we say protagonist, so this is just an additional information, okay? So when we say protagonist, that is the good character in the story, the bida, the good one. While the antagonist is the bad character in the story, okay? So now let's go on to the setting. So the setting of a story is the time, okay, remember the time and the place in which it happens. So authors often use descriptions of landscape, scenery, buildings, seasons, or weather to provide a long, strong sense of setting. So sometimes in a story you can find a detailed description of the setting or the place where the story happened, and even the time. Okay, so remember, setting is the time and the place when and where the story happens. Next, we have the plot. So a plot is a series of events and character actions that relate to the central conflict. So when we say plot, the series of events in a story. In Tagalog, pagkakasunod-sunod ng eksena. The eksena itself in the story. So that is the plot. Also, we have the fourth one, the theme. So the theme is the central idea or belief in a story. So tema in Tagalog, the tema. It is almost the same with what is the story all about. Ano ang tema? Just like that. Okay? Next, we have the conflict, of course, that is our main focus in this particular module. So the conflict is a struggle between two people or things in a story. The struggle or their misunderstanding, just like that, or the problem of the two people or things in a story. The main character is usually on one side of the central conflict. The conflict is also known as the problem of the story that has to be resolved. So if you will notice, most of the story has a problem and it should be resolved at the end, almost at the end of the story. On the other side, the main character may struggle against another important character. So the another important character, it can be the protagonist, the antagonist, the one that I mentioned a while ago. So it can be forces of nature, just like calamities, flood, or it can be against society, comunidad, just like that, or even against something inside himself or herself. It can be against the character's feelings, emotions, and even illness. So we all know about that sometimes a person has a problem with regards to his health. So illness can be part of the conflict. So we have here types of conflict. So we have man versus man. So it means the central character faces opposition from another person or group of people. It is a struggle from an outside force. So from one character having a conflict with another character. Okay, so we have here the example for you to better understand man versus man conflict. So it says two girls compete for the same role in the school play. So the two girls are the character or the person involved here. So they are the person versus person or man versus man type of conflicts because they are competing for the same role in the play. Next, Ben blames Peter for losing his book. So we have here Ben versus Peter. So they are man versus man conflict. Okay? Next, we have man versus self. So the main character faces an internal struggle. This one is an outside force because man to another man. This one is the internal struggle or the internal force because it is a struggle inside a character's mind. For example, for you to better understand man versus self, it says, a young man goes through hard times after losing his father in a car accident. So it is the young man versus his problem with regards to the death of his father. Okay? So it's the second example. It says, Clarissa cannot decide if she will enroll in a swimming lesson or taekwondo. So that is Clarissa's problem or Clarissa's conflict. So he or she is having internal struggle because she can't decide what to enroll. Okay, so that is man versus self. Next, we have here man versus society. This one. So it says the central character or group of characters battles against traditions, institutions, or laws. So based on the drawing, so we have here one character versus many characters. So man versus society. So we have here an example. A group of students, this one, protest in front of a university known for its unfair and racially motivated admission practices. So we have here a group of students as man versus society example. Okay, so another, Rosie protests with their barangay officials because of improper waste disposal in their community. So Rosie is the man here or the person here, the character here versus the society as barangay officials, just like that. So this one, the group of students as the man here, but they are group but representing students only, and protesting to the society in the university. Okay, next, how to identify the conflict or problem. So identify the problem or negative event that needs a solution. So that is very easy. For you to identify the problem, you need to read the story and analyze it and find an event in which it needs a solution. So that is a problem. So how to resolve a conflict or problem? First, identify the problem or conflict, of course. So we need to identify what the problem is. Next, give a positive solution to the problem or conflict. So remember, we need to solve the problem or conflict in a non-violent way. So in a positive way. And last one, solve the problem or conflict in a non-violent way. So the same with number 2. So you need to think of the positive solution for you to solve the conflict in a non-violent way. Okay? So we have here 2 examples. So let us first discuss the first example. So it says, Diana caught Ruben cheating during their examination. Okay? So Ruben is her classmate and best friend. She can't decide if she will tell their teacher or not. She knows it is wrong to cheat, but she doesn't want Ruben to get mad at her. Okay? So what is the problem or conflict in this passage? So what is the problem of Diana? So Diana, of course, the problem is she cannot decide if she will tell their teacher or not about the cheating during the examination. And what is the best solution to this conflict? So Diana told their teacher about what she saw and told Ruben that it is not right to cheat. So that is the solution in a non-violent way. So Diana does good thing. Next, example number 2, Leo borrowed Dan's English book. After a week, Leo asked Dan to return his book, but Dan couldn't find it. So, of course, the problem here is Dan borrowed Leo's book, but the problem is he couldn't find it. So, what should be the solution or the best solution to that problem? Leo and Dan help each other to look for the missing book. Okay, so I hope you learned something in this particular video explanation about conflict, and try to resolve conflict in a non-violent way. So it is very important because you can apply that in the real life situation to solve conflict in a positive and non-violent way. So for the activities, I will be explaining that in our GC. Okay, so goodbye everyone and God bless.